The Ukrainian armed forces destroyed 90 Russian vessels in just 1 week. This special operation by the Unmanned Systems Forces is guaranteed to go down in the history books. Our guys have simply rewritten the rules of naval warfare in a way that no one has done since World War II. In just a few days, the Sea of Azov turned into a massive graveyard for Russia's shadow fleet. Tankers, tugboats, ferries, everything that was supposed to transport weapons and fuel to the occupiers is now either out of commission or spectacularly burning up. As a result, Putin's Crimea has been completely cut off from supplies. No fuel, no armor, and no chance for reinforcements, neither by sea nor by land. And now, the Kerch Bridge is no longer a crossing, but a ticking time bomb. Any Russian tanker that dares to go there automatically turns the bridge into a perfect target for the next precise strike. But the funniest thing is that this destruction is only half the disaster for the Kremlin. The second part of the trouble is already quietly creeping up on the Russians straight from Siberia. What exactly is happening there and how the Ukrainians managed to pull off this historic operation? Watch on, it's going to get intense. This week, the Sea of Azov has officially ceased to be a quiet and safe backwater for the occupiers. Ukrainian drones are targeting Russian maritime convoys one after another, and the burning tankers of their so-called shadow fleet can now be seen even from space. These shots are good enough to set as your phone wallpaper. Meanwhile, the mighty Russian combat fleet, which previously boasted so pompously about its complete dominance in the region, has simply cowardly retreated to Novorossiysk and doesn't even dare to cover its own civilian vessels. But the funniest thing is that Putin simply has no choice. The Sea of Azov is very shallow, on average only about 14 meters deep. That's why you physically can't get a large ocean tanker in there. It would immediately run aground, its stern stuck in the silt. And this means that the Russians simply have nothing to replace the destroyed dry cargo ships and Riva-C-class tankers with, because global sanctions and blocked internal routes have completely cut them off. Their oxygen has been cut off. And for more details on how bad things are for the occupiers at sea, I suggest watching the following segment from the United News Telethon.
On July 6th, 2 tankers were hit in the Sea of Azov. On July 7th, already 10 enemy vessels were hit. The next day, 9 more. Then over the next 2 days, another 27. On July 11th, a record 28 ships were hit in a single day. And last night another 15 or so. A total of 90 vessels in 1 week. Such a naval rout hasn't been seen since World War II. International media are shocked by the mass destruction of the Russian tanker fleet. The hysteria of Russian war correspondence contains nothing but expletives. It was barely possible to find a segment without profanity.
The Hungarian is systematically destroying our fleet, and not just the fleet.
The scale is colossal. They're only analyzing the strike tactics. There's a clear pattern here. The first drone strikes the ship's bridge to immobilize it and deprive it of control. The second attacks the deck, destroying the most expensive onboard equipment. How
precisely this is done? Not once has Russian propaganda managed to portray Ukraine as a terrorist country, an environmental terrorist country, a terrorist that hits these tankers, causing fuel, oil, or mazout spills. Yeah, that doesn't happen. Why? Because unmanned systems strike the vessels directly at the bridge.
And we attack the enemy fleet not only from the air and not only in the Sea of Azov. Hiding in the Black Sea isn't an option either. It was a bad morning for the large sea tanker Blue near Yalta. The maritime drone Baby struck its stern. Enemy aircraft tried to counteract, but without success. Because of our strikes, Russia has, for the first time, halted the passage of ships through the Kerch Strait, which connects the Sea of Azov and the Black Sea. The Don Azov Canal, which connects the Don River with the Sea of Azov, is also not operating. Our defenders chose the perfect time, harvest season. A quarter of Russian wheat exports pass precisely through the Sea of Azov. Lines of grain trucks are growing, reaching the ports of Crimea, Kerch, and the Caucasus. Taman, and this is what the seaport in Taganrog looks like. And these are the daily routines of the Azov port of Gerliden.
Meanwhile, in Crimea itself, the occupiers have officially declared a state of emergency. Well, as for emergency, in reality, it's just the usual military collapse, which the local Gauleiters are simply too embarrassed to call by its real name. For over a month now, Aksionov has been running around in a panic and still can't solve the fuel problem because absolutely all logistical routes to the peninsula are now under strict fire control by the defense forces. Moreover, along with the electricity, water traditionally disappears for Crimeans as well, since for some reason the pumping stations refuse to operate without power to work.
And this is how we all live. That's the sound of a generator. I'm standing near a hardware store. This is the noisy scene everywhere you go because there's no electricity.
Because of this, wild limits have been imposed at gas stations. In some places, they only allow up to 10 liters per person. And filling an ordinary canister has been strictly forbidden altogether. It has gotten to the point where Russians have started checking documents right in the middle of the street. Well, as for Aksionov himself, he honestly just threw up his hands and admitted there is no clear schedule. Restoration of supply won't happen, because most anti-crisis decisions, I quote, cannot be made public. Let me translate from bureaucratic to human language. They have zero plans, they're in shock themselves.
I hope that for the first time in, I don't know, several months, maybe 2, we'll be able to fill up the car. We'll fill up the car. And you know, I used to laugh and say, damn, go ride your bikes in Holland because your gas is expensive. Oh fuck, my tongue is my enemy.
But this is just a small part of the collapse of the fuel empire. Watch the full story for more details.
Our forces are also holding the land corridor to Crimea, the so-called Novorossiya Highway, which connects Rostov-on-Don, Mariupol, and occupied Crimea. It's under precise drone fire. Civilian traffic here has practically stopped. Military transport has been reduced by 71%. In June alone, our forces destroyed at least 600 trucks. They struck 15 bridges. They hit Chonhar in particular with behemoths. These are our new drones, kamikaze drones. On the outside, they look very similar to the Iranian Shahed, and they carry a dual payload, a 40-kilogram high-explosive fragmentation warhead and a 35-kilogram thermobaric warhead. They can reach targets up to 300 kilometers away. Two years ago, no one would have believed that the map of damaged oil refineries in Russia could look like this. There are dozens of them. Some of them have been hit 15 times or more. Serious problems and forced shutdowns are happening not only at oil refineries near the Ukrainian border. The largest oil refinery in Moscow, which supplies fuel to Muscovites, is shut down and is unlikely to resume operations this year. This week, 2 refineries in Tatarstan were attacked again. And here is fresh footage of the Syzran refinery burning. The largest refinery in southern Russia was attacked again as well, the Ilsky oil refinery.
Krasnodar Krai, excuse me, you could even put it on Pornhub. It's been hit 17 times during the full-scale invasion.
By the way, this is a very telling moment. Our cool BGMOD drone is not just some random thing. It's not some imported Iranian development bought with laundered money. This is a completely Ukrainian product created by the companies Glefa and Culver Aerospace. Moreover, in the spring, even the German defense giant Helsing joined this project. They are now funding joint production directly at facilities in Germany. And while some of our drones are spectacularly burning up logistics convoys and bridges, other UAVs are meanwhile flying so deep into the Russian rear where until very recently the occupiers were even afraid to look. Just imagine, until July 6th, the Omsk plant was considered one of the last 2 absolutely untouched giants of Russian oil refining. Along with it, the only other facility on this very short list was the Angarsk oil refinery in the Irkutsk region. And such attention to Omsk is by no means accidental. This is the only enterprise in all of Russia that produces cracking catalysts. Simply put, this is the very critical node on which the operation of almost all other oil refineries in the country depends. Striking it would trigger a devastating chain reaction for the entire Russian economy. According to the developer company Firepoint, for this historic strike, our military used an upgraded version of the FP-1 drone, whose flight range has increased to as much as 3,400 kilometers. This is no longer just another record. This is some kind of magic beyond Hogwarts and a leap to an entirely new level of military capability. And guess what? Now that very second untouched plant is next in line. To reach the Angarsk oil refinery, it will have to fly even farther, over 4,000 kilometers. across the entire Ural mountain range and a total of 5 time zones. This plant alone is larger in area than an entire... Our city, Slavutych, is the largest oil refinery in all of eastern Siberia. Previously, Russians sincerely believed that such a remote location was their 100% super protection. But with the emergence of Ukrainian drones that easily cover thousands of kilometers, the concept of an inaccessible rear has completely lost any meaning for Russia. So the task concerning Angarsk apparently is already in line to be carried out.
Under drone strikes, the gas station country is now lining up for gasoline. Even Muscovites now wait for hours at gas stations in the Russian Federation. And the drama is escalating. This is the situation at gas stations in Russia.
Wait, you're actually leaving right now?
A total ban on the export of gasoline and diesel is already in effect in Russia. Strict fuel rationing is in place across almost the entire country. In the Tomsk and Novosibirsk regions, due to the gasoline shortage, companies were even advised to have employees work remotely. Given the whole situation, what can you say? The quality of gasoline has dropped. It got to the point where Putin ordered the construction of so-called small oil refineries. Essentially, this is garage-level production of very low-quality fuel, which will inevitably ruin both cars and the health of Russians, and preparations are underway to switch to the Euro 2 fuel standard.
The European Euro 5 emission standard means that there should be a maximum limit of no more than 10 milligrams in the fuel of the chemical element sulfur per kilogram of fuel. The Euro 2 standard actually allows 500 milligrams. So even modern car engines simply cannot tolerate such a significant regression.
But the most remarkable thing in this whole story is the official statistics from our general staff. As of early July, systematic strikes by Ukrainian forces have disabled almost 43% of Russia's total oil refining capacity. In just the past month, 8 refineries have burned brightly and dozens of huge fuel tanks have been reduced to piles of charred scrap metal. The main country, the gas station of the world, which ranks third in oil production, is now humbly standing in kilometer-long lines for its own gasoline. You couldn't imagine a better example of karma, and this is now openly acknowledged even at the NATO summit in Ankara. The US Secretary of State has openly stated that they are discussing allowing Ukraine to strike even deeper into Russia so that the Kremlin can experience firsthand how difficult it is to try to defend its own airspace. Even Donald Trump called these strikes on Russian oil refineries an escalation that could very well bring the end of the war closer. It seems that even in Washington they have finally started measuring success not in kilometers of the front line but in liters of gasoline, which the occupiers are catastrophically lacking. That's all from me. The Sea of Azov. The Russians have already completely lost it, and now their rear is brightly burning in places where just a year ago not a single missile could reach. If you want to really understand what's actually happening in this war and not just read dry headlines, subscribe to our channel and be sure to write in the comments what you think about this large-scale operation. I personally read absolutely everything. See you in the next video.